Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. We're nearing the end of November 1982, and we almost hit December, getting ready for the holiday season. Let's see what it's like. We were last in Japan on the Sword M5, checking out the very first time you could play Warp and Warp. Let's see what our next game is after this commercial break.
Radio Shack used space-age technology to create a compact computer for home and business. The TRS-80 microcomputer system. Record this much paperwork and more, all on inexpensive cassette tapes. Compute budgets, taxes, investments, payrolls, inventory. Ideal for home or business. It's easy to use, and Radio Shack makes it affordable. Under $600, the TRS-80 compact computer, only at Radio Shack. A Tandy company.
And what's the latest video game you could play on your Radio Shack computer? Why, it's Warriors of Ras, Volume 3, The Wylde. Let's check it out together. This one, or this very first version, is a little hard to come by. This box is the later box. I can't find the original artwork for the box, so this was something you would see a little bit later, but this is the very first time we've seen the third part in this series, The Wylde. You can see down at the bottom it says Screenplay. Well, this release was only done by Med Systems Software. They are going to change their name to Screenplay later, but, I mean, the artwork still, I mean, you look like an epic Viking, wrapped up in the forest. I'm guessing something like that. The artwork always looks a little mysterious when you play these. You flip it over the back and welcome to Ras, a world entered only through Screenplay's new adventure series, The Warriors of Ras. At least it says the Warriors here. And then it's explaining down in the data box the number of players. This is a one-player game because we're playing a role-playing game. This is the role-playing experience. It does look itchy. I wouldn't want to wear it myself. And the other artwork we have for this one, besides the box, I have the advertisement flyer, which just bask in that. That's like super bro fantasy right there. It's you got sandals, fantasy sandals on. You got a flask and questionable pecs. If Chiptune's here, I'm sure he'd say wax it up because you have to for the role-playing games. This one is, it says role-playing games are serious business, and you can definitely tell by this one. I know, right? Full-on wax chest. So this is the fourth game we've seen so far in the Warriors of Ras series. We saw Dunzin on the TRS-80, the Apple II and MS-DOS, and Kyiv, which is the sequel only on the TRS-80. This one is the very first time we've seen Part 3. I just want to leave it here a little bit longer to see how awkward everyone will feel. And then we have an example of the screenshot too. We are going to be seeing Part 4, which is called Ziggurat, sometime around 1983, but this is the first time we've seen this part. Now, the manual for this one I have is a later manual, so I don't even have the original manual that was on the TRS-80. Volume 3, The Wylde. Over on the left side, they give credit to lots of things. So this one is the 141st game we've played for the original TRS-80, Model 1 or Model 3. And this is by Med Systems Software right before they changed their name to Screenplay. The 19th game we've seen by this company. They've done really crazy games like Arena 3000, Lucifer's Realm, and The Institute. And over on the left side, they're crediting Randall Don Masteler. Way to go, Randall. This is the fourth game we've seen by him. It's all been Warriors of Ras. So they're bringing up computers that this game isn't ported to just yet. But over on right above my head on the right side of the page is showing how to restore previous characters for all versions. We are going to be able to load in and bring characters back that we had before, which is a really, really cool touch. There's only been a few games that have done that so far. So like we have, for example, Wizardry allowed you to port in characters that you saved. And then we even saw the add-on to that, Wiz Plus and Sword Thrust. So it's not the first time, but it is a good trope for a role-playing game to allow you to import your character. This is role-playing, and this game has a lot of competition. This is the 94th role-playing game we've seen thus far on Chronologically Gaming. There's only one role-playing game we've played on home consoles, and that was Dragon Stomper. So there's been 93 games that we've seen for home computers up to this point that are role-playing video games. Some of the really good ones that this has to compete with are games like Akalabeth, Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, Fracas, Ultima 1 and 2, which are only on the Apple II right now, Wizardry 1 and 2, which are only on the Apple II, Caverns of Freytag, Dungeon Quest, the whole series of games we saw by them, the Sword Thrust series, the Sword of Fargol, the Missing Ring, Telengard, and Theseus and the Minotaur, just to give a few examples of role-playing games that this has to go with. All right, so here's the game. And I'll let you read everything at your leisure, but essentially this is from the previous game, Kaiv. Grimsword the Warrior returned from his adventures in the Kaiv, ragged and lame. It's the hope of Lord Dosimer that, or Doserer, I don't know how to pronounce it, that he might recover the wizard's magical help, but this has not come to pass. The only thing that might cure him is a healing item located deep within the Wylde, like Wylde. A young apprentice sorceress named Quinolin has been chosen to seek out the healing unguent and has been awarded 2,000 gold pieces and a map of the area to aid in the task. And that means this is the very first video game that we played that's a role-playing game where you have a female character, like a female protagonist in the role-playing game. And that's the extent of what we're supposed to be doing, or what the game is, of how we play. And then what they've done with the manual is really, really nice. They really immerse you in the story because they take it from Quinolin's perspective, and they show you how to play the game as if you were in the world. So they explain, the wizard's voice gives it the instructions of how to move east and how you're supposed to type the commands in, because this is a text parser that you have to use. You have to type in move east, and wherever you move, you can correct mistakes by hitting backspace, and then it breaks down the map, what the map means, where your goal is located, the first clue, and how to read facts. If you look on the left side, they have everything that'll be displayed on the screen, which is your level, experience, movement, all the things like that. And then we have ways that you can attack over on the far left side. You can be very specific on how you attack enemies in this game. You can hit them on the head, chest, right arm, left arm, and sometimes they have defenses, sometimes they have weak spots. It's very, very in-depth. And then they explain here, she attacks the dogs, and then it says you encountered 3 dogs, and it explains what's happening while you're playing the game. And then they take a deep breath, and then you realize, wait a second, I didn't wear the armor, or fetch the sword. And you have to use those commands before. It's like equipping, how we refer to it today. But not here. You have to wear the armor and fetch the sword. And then it breaks down the inventory and all the commands over there on the left side. Get a load of that. That is everything that you can say in the game and do in the game. And bear in mind, it is not an adventure game. This is a role-playing game. You're going to be taking turns, attacking, moving around the world, but that's how many commands you have. It's like taking the Dungeon Quest series and then ramping it up to even higher levels. It's ridiculous. All right, then they break down how to go into the battle scene, which has been changed from the last Warrior of Ras games. So they have all this, plus they have mystical commands later that you're going to be using, like additional commands besides those. And then they break down magical items. You'll be finding wands, potions, rings, everything like that. You can even save the game at any time. You can save your character to import it into other ones. The game we're going to be playing, I will not be importing how we played Kaiv or the Dunzin game. This will be played from the get-go, so we may die a lot because we don't have a very experienced character. All right, we have different enemies too. This tells you about all the enemies in the game: dogs, ghouls, zombies, bears, goblins, and the examples of how you can attack and fight them. We have all the low-ranking foes, all the middle-ranking foes, and then high-ranking foes, which we won't see. But I mean, look at this. We got griffins, wyverns, lords, trolls, cave bears, wraiths. It just seems like an epic role-playing experience just looking at the manual. And I think they say, later ports of the game we'll be able to do a few other things. So ignore all those because this is the very first time you could play the game. And then over there we have the attack value, defend value, armor, and the manual is breaking down everything very, very well. I wish I could get the original on the TRS-80 though. All right, let's pop it and play Warrior of Ras Volume 3, The Wylde by Randall Don Masteler, released by Med Systems Software at some time in November 1982. All right, how do we... I bet it's Wylde, right? Wylde. It's got to be Wylde. We have to load with Wylde. Now, what this game has done that's a little bit different from the other games in the series is every time we had the new game, Randall Don Masteler has done something different. So the first game, Dunzin, was a roguelike. It was very simple. It didn't even have an inventory. And then the second game had like a very simple shop, an inventory system, and modified a few things of the roguelike experience. This game is even different, more different than all of those. All right, we want to say no, we do not want to play a save game or a saved character. And we're at the City of Origin. Your quest is to procure the Pleading Necklace of Tejep, which every time you play this game, it picks a different one. I've done my play tests, and I've never seen the Pleading Necklace of Tejep. And our bounty has been posted for direwolves. So every time you kill any direwolves and come back to the town, you can get money for it. And there's our options. We can quit, buy, enter, stash, retrieve, and then show our inventory. So if I hit I, we have no inventory whatsoever. So this is essentially us in the town, or the very first place. So let's go to buy, and here's our buying list. We can pick from all these different things, or if you want to simplify this, you can just buy a standard pack. So instead of having to go through each one of these, I just give me the standard pack. And he says, okay. So we've just paid for the standing pack. We have 600 money remaining. Because I know you have to eat things, let's buy more food. And let's buy 5 more food. I think we can do fine with that. That looks pretty good. And then clear for the inventory. So if I want to see my inventory, this is what the standard pack gave us. We bought a little bit more food. We got armor, cross, shield, coat, sword, pack, mirror, and spear. So that's what we just got from the store, which is pretty much everything. That's good enough to get us started, at least for the beginning. All right, so I think we can go back to the main. Okay, there you go. And we can go stash things, retrieve things while we're in town, or we can go ahead and enter. Let's go to the world, and there it is. Bounty is direwolves. If you find any and bring them back, you get money for it, which means this is one of the very first video games that has bounty hunting as a gameplay mechanic. It's part of this. So this game is largely played with this overhead map. We're in the very bottom left. We're that really tiny square. We start off in the castle in the southwest, and we're attempting to recover the healing item that they pick randomly for us. It's located in the northeast. So if you look at the top right of the map, there's an X. That's where our goal is. That's where we're trying to get. The town contains a store where we can purchase all the supplies and come back to store gold. We can revisit the town 5 times. If we go after 5 times, the wizard turns us into a wild animal because he just gets angry that we came back so much. I guess just to prevent you from coming into town. We can collect bounties and return it for 100 gold. And in the countryside, we have to deal with environmental damage. So random elements may happen. And there's also a constant threat of hunger. We need to be eating things. It is still turn-based, though, so nothing's real time. The game is not playing itself while I'm explaining all this. There's 2 other outposts that you can find while you're exploring this map, and you can restock resources. You also have to be falling asleep every evening, and it is possible for you to get attacked in your sleep. So ultimately, this game's goal is go from the bottom left to the top right, defeat the guardian creatures, get the treasure, and then go back down to the bottom left. And that's the game. That's essentially what we need to do. All right, so here we go. The first thing I want to do is I want to wear my armor. You've got to make sure you wear that or you are totally exposed. The other thing you want to do is you want to fetch your sword. And by that it means hold the sword in your hand so you can actually fight people. It's just not going to have a good experience. You will die several times. The other thing you can do is eat, but I don't think we need to eat right now. All right, so as you move around, you have to follow all those commands we saw in the manual. If this was your first experience with the Wylde, then you have the manual up. You'd be looking at the commands and what to type. So let's say we want to move. For example, I want to move. You can type in the full command like this. I want to move east. You'll see my little square moves just a little bit to the east. Or you can be cool about it and just say ME, and then it will move to the east. Oh, and it started to snow, so we got a random snow shower. And don't adjust your sound. This game has no sound, or very, very minimal sound. All right, yeah. Imagine someone mentioned Charlie mentioned side questing in the chat. Side questing really isn't a thing. Ultima had a few things that were like side questing, but to have something like a bounty hunt that you could bring back is a nice touch. All right, so I'm going to keep going, moving east, and you can see I'm slowly making my way to the other side. Let's go ahead and move south now. Oh wait, I have to do M space south. Anytime now. M space south. Oh, and we encounter 2 bears, and we see a treasure of some sort. Bear number 1 will run. Bear number 2 will run. Now, do you realize what they just did? They just cut the scene to another scene. Now, we've played video games where the scene, the whole role-playing game takes place on one fixed screen or one fixed map. Games like Adventure to Atlantis on the Apple II, Black Crystal on the ZX81 and ZX Spectrum, Dragons and Treasure on the VIC-20, The Valley on the VIC-20 and ZX Spectrum, Dragon's Eye on the Apple II and Atari home computer, Secret Valley on the ZX Spectrum, and Great Adventure on the VIC-20. But this right here is what sets this game apart. Combat occurs on a completely separate map. This is the very first reference of a tactical role-playing game that we've seen thus far on Chronologically Gaming, where they're cutting to this view, and now I am represented by the YV. That's my character. And then the bears, I think it was said 2 bears. Yeah, so we have number 1 is one of the bears, and number 2 is one of the bears. And they said something about a treasure, but I don't see that on the map. But they're cutting to a completely different screen where you are now tactically fighting the enemies. I know it's all, ASCII characters, but it's still a big deal because we haven't seen a role-playing game that really does this. So whenever you fight, you have 13 different locations to attack enemies. You have 9 separate body locations to defend, and vital locations are vital locations are lost, and the player perishes. So if we lose all our, what does it say, Y in the top right, then we'll die. You'll gain items and weapons after combat, and then you'll level up, become stronger and successful after that. And then magical items will also be there as well. So having a game like this just is so cool. So I'm going to go ahead and move, and I'm going to go, let's head east. You can see my little Y symbol moved. And now after I do my move, then the 2 enemies make their move. A separate map like this, a tactical screen, is just crazy. Going to go ahead and keep moving east. You can see my character moves, and then the 2 bears are doing their movement. Like I said, if you were playing this for the first time, you'd be researching and reading the manual quite a bit to know exactly all the commands that you can do. And, oh wait, you gotta go back here. I want move, and I don't think I can do southeast, right? Oh, it did work, sweet. So I thought you could only move in the cardinal directions, but it looks like it'll work like that too. Oh, that's right, Marshall brings up the golfing. Whenever you played golfing games and it zoomed in on the green, if you made it in, that's kind of what this is like. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move just east. Oh, I forgot. M space E. Imagine typing in the whole command, though. M and say move. Okay, so let's see the bear. 1 is moving across the river. Bear number 2 is going to hit. What's he going to do? He's going for the neck. We didn't put on our neck armor. Oh, but he missed. So this part's taking place it's completely random with what happens. So let's go ahead and hit. Let's hit head. You have to stand. Oh, he moved. I thought he was right next to us again. All right, so let's move south again. Bear number 1 will run. Bear number 2 will hit. Oh, I think we can't. He's going for the left arm, so we can't hit him where we are. We need to move out of the way. Hit the left arm for 6 points. Uh-oh. Armor stops 4 points of force. And I think we did. We already died. Just like they did with the other games. I regret to inform you that the hazards of the Wylde have killed us. Well, that stinks. On my playtest, I didn't die from the first battle. I at least got through the first battle after sleeping or napping for the night. Well, we won't be saving this character. I don't think this would count as a roguelike or permadeath because you can save your character and then load it back at another time. I guess there's some roguelikes that do that too that we played, but this one plays very different than all the other ones. And the fact that they added the separate screen is just totally different and new. But there has been games that do something similar, like they start on one screen, then they cut to another. One of the really good ones we saw was Dungeon by TSR Hobbies up to this point. It started like a top-down roguelike, and then it cut to you fighting the enemies. And then, but that was just like a one-on-one kind of view. But then also a really, really good one right now is Tunnels of Doom on the Texas Instruments home computer. That one has multiple members in your party. So this one, we had the tactical top-down view, but it's just us, one against all the enemies. Tunnels of Doom technically wasn't a tactical, but it was you playing as a party with multiple people. Oh yeah, I'm already getting the Team Goat's already throwing out the ratings. Love it. All right, so I want to go in again and let's just do it quick. Buy out the, give me the pack. Standard pack. I want to see if we can get past the first battle because it is random and it is luck, and you're supposed to be dying quite a bit after your first plays. Also notice I wasn't in the right placement to fight everybody. All right, let's just go ahead and go out of here. Enter the Wylde. And go ahead and move east. Can we move northeast? Oh no, it doesn't work. So it only lets you move in the tertiary directions whenever you're in a fight, I guess. All right, let's move north again. Let's head a different way. Oh gosh, we found 3 mountain lions and there's a treasure here. All right, mountain lion number 1's gonna run away. Good, get out of here. We don't want you. Mountain lion 2's gonna move. Mountain lion 3's gonna move. So nowadays, if you saw this game, you wouldn't be able to stand how long this takes to move around, you know, and having the enemies take their time to move. Right now, though, in November 1982, this is a different kind of role-playing experience. This one feels more like a Dungeons and Dragons game, how they're cutting to this, and you're having to move and fight. It's awesome. All right, so Mountain Lion 2 is moving. It's probably coming at us. Yeah, Mountain Lion 3 is going to run. And when they say run, they don't leave the screen. Notice that they're slowly moving away. You see all their movement happening, as long as you remember who's what. All right, so Mountain Lion 2's going. 3's moving. Their speed's pretty good if they can move that much. All right, so let's hit. I want to hit that mountain lion on the head. Oh no! We forgot to we forgot to take our weapon and our armor. That's not good. Can we do it now? Can we wear armor? Oh, we can in the middle of the fight. Good. I'm so glad. Does that mean my turn's over? Because I need to fetch my sword. He's going for the right leg. Uh-oh. He missed. We've turns over on the top right is not our health, so that's good. Otherwise, we'd be negative dead. Oh, I'm so glad I can. Hopefully, I can still fetch my sword. He's going for the left arm again, and he missed. Okay, so we might still have a chance. When it says the other mountain lions are running, they're not running off the screen. They're running at us. That's not helping us. All right, let's do it again. Fetch sword. Now we have a sword. Now we have the armor. Now we can actually attack. And he's going for the chest. Now, the reason why I'm making such a big deal about this is we've played lots of role-playing games that they take place on one screen, and whenever you do a battle or a fight, it's just happening, and they just tell you with text what's happening. We're getting actual enemies moving around on the screen, and they have to come into certain places, and you can have like high ground and options for who's going to have the advantage whenever you play. That's a whole new thing. All right, let's hit head. You're going for the head. Hit any key when you feel lucky, and this is where it randomizes. Ah, and see, we missed. After all that fetching and wearing, and we still didn't even get it. So this game has a lot going for it. First time we've seen bounty hunting in a video game. It has a day and night cycle where you'll be sleeping and waking up, possibly getting attacked in your sleep. It has the random elements, like whenever you play, we go for different items that we have to be saving the warrior and then coming back. And then you can see we had different environmental damage whenever we played the game. So it's not really a roguelike. It's kind of straight away from looking like Rogue, but it's still incorporating some elements for it, but it's still doing a lot more than we've seen with other games. It does look like the Y2K. All right, so let's hit again. Hit head. Oh, we missed again. Such bad luck. When I did the playtest, I was doing pretty good. I actually got through the first fight. At least 2 of the times that I got through the first fight, but then you never know what's going to happen. Every experience can be a different one. Oh, yeah, you can. Whenever you run, it's just by you moving slowly off the screen, and that's how you get away. Armor stops some of the force, but all right, we're getting mauled by the mountain lions are surrounding us right now. Mountain lion 1's moving. Yeah, they're closing in to attack. Let's try it again. Do I get a hit? Hit the head. Yes, 9 points of force. Does he die? It was protected for 1 point, but how much Yeah, we got one mountain lion down, so finally got one on the head. Oh no, and my weapon just broke? Oh no. Oh my gosh. And this also has the element we saw in a Calibeth. You have to have food and eat food. At least they missed. Well, if I don't have a weapon that breaks, I got to go back to town. I didn't see what the bounty was for this time. I don't think I can hit. I can try to hit, but I don't know if it'll work. Hit. Yep, you're not holding a weapon. Does that waste my turn then? It doesn't. All right, move southwest. Oh, it only recognized south, so it did not move. Maybe it is only doing the cardinal directions then. Oh, big time. Yeah, Charlie, when you first start out, maybe you should only do certain fights and then just run away from a lot of them. They're going for the abdomen. I remember when we first played this game, when it was giving us the options of all the places we could hit and which enemies have weaknesses or strengths in certain areas. It was nuts. That's awesome, though. So here, I'm going to go ahead and move south. Mountain Lion 3 is going to move. Amazing. Yeah, so Team Goat already threw out the first rating. He's saying 4.5, and for all on the TRS-80 only. But if it was for all personal computers, 4 stars for all the games you could play. Yeah, if you only had the TRS-80, this is top tier role playing, because you got to admit there is no Ultima on the TRS-80. There is no wizardry on the TRS-80, at least right now. All right, so I think we're just going to have to run. Move west. Mountain Lion 3's going to run which way? Yeah, it's running at us. Maybe that means it's not running away. Oh, that's true. We can fetch staff. Oh, we can't fetch a staff. What do we use the staff for then? Can I use inventory? Let's see. We got spears we can throw too, right? Yeah, there we go. Fetch the spear. There we go. So we can have a spear in our hand and now use the spear to throw them across the screen. And the spears are meant to be like line of sight. So if they're within your line of sight, you can actually throw it pretty far across the screen. Yeah, there we go. It looks like we're still... Yep, and there it is. The death screen. Welcome to another edition of Watch Me Die here on Chronologically Gaming. Been dying since a Calibeth, and even earlier than that. There's just been death all over the place. The Wylde has defeated us. Is this brutal? Yes. Very brutal. It is kind of what you're expecting, though, and used to playing. Have you ever heard of Telengard? That's why I'm still saying this is a great game, a great role-playing game, but it wouldn't be in the top tier of games like Ultima or Wizardry right now. All right, there you go. There's our taste of the Wylde. Of all the games you could play on all home computers right now, this role-playing game has a lot of elements going for it. You can understand while I was playing, there's a little bit of clunkiness, and there is also the element of having to read the manual. You really need to know your commands, and you got to familiarize yourself with this game more than others that are out there. But we did the same thing when we played the really big ones, Ultima and Wizardry specifically. But I would almost say the same thing. If this was only on the TRS-80, I'd say 4.5, maybe 5, because even on the TRS-80, the only other series would be like Dungeon Quest, and this is like Dungeon Quest, but I say this is more fun that they did that. Oh yeah, I'm mainly seeing 4.5 stars. So looking over the chat, I see a lot of 4s, 3.5 for Marshall, 4 on this, 4 if it only for the TRS-80. And then Curtis is saying 4 to 4.5. I rated the other games we saw by the Warriors of Ras series as like above average, 3.5 stars. But this one, every game is getting better than the other. So I'm going to go 4 stars for this. If you want to think of everything that you could play on all home computers. And I'm really looking forward to all the ports. So far, we've only seen Kyiv on the TRS-80 and the Wylde on the TRS-80. And it's going to be ported to lots of computers. We're also going to see the 4th game in the series, so I'm looking forward to how that evolves. And if it just keeps getting better and better, I'm expecting Ziggurat to be just maybe a 5-star game. Maybe it's going to live up to Ultima and Wizardry, but we'll have to see about that. All right. So that is where we got to put our video game playing on pause. With a game that complex and that big, that's the only one that we got through, was just the Wylde tonight. It was a wild night. And I expect us to do that whenever we see the next Ultima, maybe the Wizardry games, because most of the time when we play video games, they're arcade-style games where you figure out the game in a few seconds. With the Wylde, there's a lot that they put in the game and role-playing games that you can't just showcase for just a few minutes and get the gist, especially when we have to wait for things to load. Well, next time on Chronologically Gaming, we've had a Wizard War. Now it's time for a Weather War, the sequel. We've had a rootin' tootin' good time in the arcade, and Taito's latest arcade game takes us back to the Old West. Finally, we check out a new educational game for the Atari 2600 and find out if zapping words gets us learned. That's it for today, and like I always say, when you meet enemies, it means you are going in the right direction. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.